Here we are once again. And slowly, we'll get population from around the world. Oh, okay. So, all right, let's talk about, we had a question here before we got started from last week or the week before. You know, when the story teaches us, the biblical story teaches us, Isaac saw Rebekah, he married her, and then he loved her. So people were asking, well, wait a second, that's not the way it works, right? I mean, you have to love somebody before you marry them. So I was putting in our consciousness, as they say today, let's just be conservative. 50% of the marriages end up in divorce. Probably a lot of the ones that are still married, like I've had in my family years and years ago, they just stayed married because that was the thing to do. They didn't really have a marriage. They didn't really have love, but they stayed together. So technically, bless you, in true terms, they were divorced, even though they lived in the same house and they didn't have the document that said they were divorced. So I'm sure it's much more. So the question is, and maybe some of you out there who either had the experience or know people, did you fall in love if you've been divorced, or you know those people? Were you not in love before you got married? I'm sure all the people who got married and then divorced would tell you in the beginning they were in love. Well, hello, let's start waking up and see. If 50% or more of the marriages that are in love and then they get married and then they divorce, maybe there's something that's not in alignment with the spiritual rules of the universe, which is what we're learning. So I just want to suggest, as we talked here, when it says Isaac saw Rebekah, he saw her, married her, and loved her. When he saw, that's the part that we want to keep in mind. He saw that she was in the same mind frame. She was in the same consciousness, that she had the same goal, which was not, we'll have a compatible relationship, we'll get along, we'll make a nice business, we'll have nice kids. No. Our only purpose in this world is to bring the light of the Creator from potential to actual. It comes from the upper world. We've been given a soul full of this light. Our job is to manifest it out into the world. That's our only job. Having a car, house, job, relationships, food, clothing, shelter, everything else in this world, hobbies, sports, it's only a means to express the light of God. Sadly, 99% of the people on earth don't realize that. They've come to believe, no, the purpose of life is to have a good life, good kids, have a lot of money, be able to retire, travel the world, find somebody who's compatible, likes to travel the same places, do the same things, have the same hobbies. No, the true idea, what all of the Kabbalistic teachings are telling us, the idea is when you bond people together, unite people in the light of the Creator, with the consciousness of bringing that light to all humanity, then there's that exponential growth. 1 and 1 is 10. 10 and 10 is 1,000. 1,000 and 1,000 is 50,000, 50 million, like that. That's the reason why the Rav and Karen started Kabbalah centers. Bond people together so that a group of 1,000 can touch the hearts and soul, really awakening God inside. Billion people, 5 billion people, 8 billion people. That's the point. So whether it's out there in the world of 8 billion or it's one-on-one, whether romantic relationship, same thing with friendships. There are soul friendships. How many of you have ever had a friend that you thought was a friend, right? Good friends, quote unquote, like in love, and then something happened and they're no longer friends. Divorce the friends. Same thing. Why? Because we didn't take the time or have the consciousness, as we learned by Isaac and Rebekah, to see them. We didn't see the real them. We saw the outside. Well, they hang out with me. They bought a couple drinks here and there. We have a nice time watching the football games together, and that's it. But did you stop and see how they treated other people? How they dealt with challenging situations in their life? No, those we tend to ignore because why? They're treating us nicely. They're good to us. In fact, I had somebody recently was telling me, yes, they got divorced. Why? After a number of years, it was a shorter marriage, but they came to see after the fact They look back and they say, you know, when they first started dating in the beginning of their marriage, when they were out at a restaurant, he would be, let's just call it abusive or mistreating the wait staff. But she didn't see that. All she saw was how she was in love. He was so nice. He looked good, treated her well, this and this and this. But after a couple years, she started to realize she was being treated the same way he was treating the wait staff. But they were madly in love. This is what you and I are coming to understand. There has to be a purpose to everything we do. And that purpose ultimately has to be to reveal all the light of the Creator and take away all the pain and suffering from the world. It's the only reason we're here. Have our 100% blessings as we're bringing that blessing to everybody else. So it's something we have to start thinking about. And it's interesting. Yes, I will make it fit today. Ghosts, spirits, witches, cursing. So I open up. I'm thinking, how is Karen going to give me a message? So I go to open up the book as we're doing, Finding the Light Through the Darkness. So this is what I open up to, now that you know what the topic is. So I see this. If a child sees or feels the presence of something scary, do not shrink their imagination by saying there is no such thing as a boogeyman. Instead, allow them to discover the metaphysical world in a safe way by teaching them that there are good angels who watch over all of us, and that sometimes they frighten us too because we do not know what they are. Make up a little prayer with your children, to welcome these wonderful forces into their life. There are beautiful prayers in every language to teach children. By doing this, you guide them to become attuned with the cosmic energies that exist around us. Karen is just amazing, because obviously we're talking about, because it's Halloween tonight, at least here, and that's the boogeyman and the sorcerers and the witches and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to share with us the Kabbalistic take on some of these things. And as we always do, what's the most important part? How do we live a better life? How do we work with all of this understanding to make our lives better and remove our chaos? Because if our chaos is removed, you become, if nothing else, even from a distance, you become an example for other people. They say, wow, I see that person. They look like they're at peace. They have calm. They're dealing with things well. I want that same thing. So we become, let's call it a Kabbalistic advertisement to the power of what we're learning. So let's start with this. When a person, unfortunately, it's still taking place. When a person leaves the world, right? What happens? Why does a person leave the world? And I don't want to give you all, we could spend weeks and weeks and weeks as we do in some of the classes. But in essence, this thing we call death, what does it mean? We come into this world, we're born, body and soul together. A body without a soul is essentially dead. So what's death? When the soul leaves. But you and I have come to understand, what's the real part of us? Is the body the real part of us? No. What you love or dislike about other people is their inner essence. Now, you and I have come also to understand, like we said in the beginning, how to see. Inside every person is the light of God. So there are no bad people on earth. There are people who, in varying degrees, admittedly even you and I, will act in a non-godlike way. A little bit of impatience, jealousy, judgment, ego, fear, etc. But the essence of us is that pure light of the Creator. So one of the things that people, and again, for those of you who are new, I'm not asking you to just believe everything that I'm teaching you today, or you read, or you hear on Kabbalah.com. I am asking you, though, don't just dismiss it, because it doesn't fit with what you've come to believe up to this point. At least be open to take a new idea, have a new understanding, perspective on life. Work with it for a while, see how it fits your life. So when people leave the world, it's like they walk through the doorway from the physical world to the spiritual world. So just like you and I, when you come out of the whatever, you've been at work and you're going home, how you are, who you are, what mood you're in, etc., as you get out of your car and walk through your front door. As you enter into the house, you're the same person as you were in the driveway. Now, that you're in a bad mood and you walk through the door, you walk into the house in a bad mood. You're in a good mood as you're walking in the house, then you walk in the house with a good mood. But that doorway doesn't change you. You don't suddenly go, oh, wow, I'm totally enlightened. No. So the Kabbalists teach us that if a person leaves the world having been a positive person, sharing, caring, growing spiritually, then they enter on the other side of that doorway, also in the same consciousness. But if they've left this world in a negative frame, they were mean, rotten, and nasty, they were self-centered, egotistical, etc., then they enter on the other side also the same way. They're the same. Just now they don't have a body. But what they carry with them on the soul, the dirt on the soul that they put on that soul in this world, they carry into that world. And this is where even we get the ideas of heaven and hell. How many of you know people, especially this last couple years, that are living in the physical world in a hellish existence? You know anybody like that? I hope it's not you guys. But we know people like that. The same thing. So what about a heavenly existence where everything's going well, it's nice, we feel peace, we have, a good insight into the world, etc. Then when a person goes on the other side, they're heaven on this side, heaven on that side. That's what I want us to understand. It doesn't magically change because they left the world. No, they end up the same way. Therefore, when you have this idea, spirits, ghosts, demons, whatever names you want to call them, let's understand more clearly what they are. They are those souls who've gone on that side. And the beauty is, like we said in various ways, sometimes it's a relationship, sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's business people. You don't perceive who they are. Your eyes are not open to see who that person really is, meaning their behavior. So it says in the Zohar, if you want to look it up, it's Bereshit Bet 356. Rabbi Shimon says, woe to people, for they are not aware and do not take heed nor search for knowledge. They are all blindfolded and do not know how full the world is with strange and invisible creatures and things. If the eye were given permission to see, people would marvel at how it is possible to survive in this world. Meaning, if our eyes were really opened up to see all the metaphysical people, things going on around us, we'd probably die of fright. That's in essence what he's saying. So that's why it's actually the blessing that until we come to the consciousness of accepting and understanding and already living in our life those aspects, understanding the God. I mean, how many of you have ever seen physically God? I mean, really, God doesn't have physicality, but we perceive the energy, the love, the light, etc. So in that same way, there are also souls that are no longer in a body. And they are also the good or the bad. So I was trying to distinguish, and I'm not sure how you'll take it, but translate whatever you hear from me in the way that it'll suit you. So let's just start with ghosts, right? Ghosts. Ghosts aren't necessarily, you remember Casper, the friendly ghost. So ghosts don't have to be mean, rotten, and nasty and haunting and all of that. They can also be nice. So how many of you ever had the experience, you're in your home or you're out somewhere, in a hotel or whatever, and you start to feel a presence. You start to feel a presence. You don't see anyone, right? But you feel a presence. Well, what is that? Of course, the opponent in our head is going to make us justify and rationalize. Oh, it's your imagination. Maybe you just watched a movie and therefore it's on your mind. No, why can't it be real? The same way, have you never had anybody physically walk in your house that you didn't know were coming? And you hear a little noise and this, and suddenly then they show up and say, hi, here I am. You're a little scared? Then it's you, okay. So why can't that be with a spirit? Why can't that be in the same way? This is what overall I would like us to understand. The spiritual world and the physical world, in essence, operate the same way. Just one is spiritual, one is non-physical, and one is physical. But like we always say, Kabbalah is universal wisdom and technology. The laws of the universe are the same for everyone, everywhere, in everything, in every form of life. Even if the 1% teachings, whether it's science, medicine, I don't know, politics, people tell you about life and how to live life, etc., even though those things may seem to contradict what Kabbalah teaches, in the end of the story, if you really keep looking and studying and applying it, you'll see that the Zohar is right. You'll see that the Zohar is the way things happen. So let's understand that there are those spirits. I have a student, lives in Europe. And of course, Europe is a little older than America, at least in, however you want to look at it, in organized society. So the Kabbalah Center in London, well, I was there for about a little over a year. The building was built 1774. I was like, wow, my first time over there in the center, that's older than America, right? Technically, America is 1776. So I have a student who was telling me every now and then they live in an old house, because obviously over there's a lot of old houses. And every now and then they're telling me they hear like footsteps going. They know they're alone in the house. They hear footsteps. Oh, and every now and then they walk around. A light suddenly goes on. The TV goes on, like that. Okay, so how do you explain that? Fortunately, the spirit or the ghosts, friendly. Now, you don't feel malevolent, okay, malevolent, thank you, okay, great. This is going to be on Facebook, people are going to go back and make fun of me, okay. It doesn't feel like a malevolent spirit. Okay, so it's friendly, this and this, but it's there, I think truly for most of us, to help us have a raised consciousness that there are spirits around, there are things around. So when we talk about, even angels and things, they're spirits, they're essence. May not have been a human, but it's also a metaphysical force to open our conscious. There was a great movie years ago, Ghost. You remember the movie Ghost? Very Kabbalistic. If you look at what happened, it fits what the Zohar explains. Entertaining, whatever. And I remember back then I used to tell people, it's opening collective consciousness to these sorts of things so that people start to be a little more open-minded, because we were so caught up in the physical that it wasn't part of our thinking. Okay, there's another story. I have a student here in America, similar. Husband passed, and probably the first couple of years, every now and then could feel the presence of her husband. Sometimes even see like a form that she thought was him. Obviously nice, friendly, not in a scary way or whatever, but there are also those ones that are scary. There's another story, not a scary story, but just to understand that the soul is the soul. There's a story of one of the great Kabbalists. His name was Rabbi Meir. After he passed, for the first couple months, every Friday night, he used to show up in his house and do the kiddush, the blessing on the wine for the Sabbath, for Shabbat, for his family. And people would see him. But apparently in the village, there was enough, let's say, fear or whatever it was, that he decided he better stop showing up. Right? But they could show up. Look at the story we just read. With angels, yes. Angels appeared in physical form to Abraham and Sarah. Oh, so you say, but that's the Bible, Chaim. Who believes the Bible, really? Right? It's a nice book. Put it on the shelf. Most popular sales, but that's it. But we understand these things. Now, are there on the other side? Yes. There are also, just like there are human beings who are not friendly, who are trying to manipulate, connive, steal, etc. from people. Same thing. There are spirits like that. We have to realize there are. Not that I want you to be scared. I want you to be conscious and aware. Conscious and aware. But there are. And again, to varying degrees. There's got to be somewhere in our life, even presently, somebody who's a little annoying. They just rub you the wrong way. They may even be a friend, but every now and then they have a habit, just rubs you the wrong way. Yes? Okay, so now imagine you take a spirit on the other side, the similar idea. They're trapped. And it reminds me, I may have shared it before, there was, before I came to Kabbalah, and I was, open to spirituality, I was learning, I was doing a little teaching back then, and there was a movie about an event that took place here in Florida, I don't know, in the 60s, late 70s, whatever, it had to be maybe early 70s, because this was about 1978, just after my mom passed. So the story was there was a plane that crashed here in the Everglades, and just before it crashed, the navigator was going into the belly of the plane to try and make fix the landing gear. And it crashed, and as they'll call it, he didn't know he was about to die. So it was a shock, whatever it was, and they said when they took the pieces of that plane to use for other planes, every place the piece of that crashed plane showed up, people would see the ghost, if you will, the spirit of that navigator. So I remember I'm watching it. I'm in my house alone, the house I grew up in. My brother and sister had moved out. My mom had passed about a year ago before that. And I'm saying, Mom, I'm looking up like, Mom, come, show me. Come, let me see you. And about 2 seconds later, I said, you know what, Mom? I don't think I'm ready yet. Because I'm thinking if she showed up, I'd probably, faint. Because I, wasn't, even though it's my mom, and so she didn't show up, which of course now I've regretted for many, many years. But you understand, just the idea, even though I know friendly, loving, care, but just the shock of seeing. And I believe that's why these different shows, movies, things are coming out to sort of prepare the collective humanity to be ready for these things. And not to, like we read from Karen, not just dismiss it. Oh, it's a child's, imagination. No, and then we become adult and we just, like she said, we just block it out. No, that's not real. It's just, whatever, something we're making up. No, let's start to be open because there's enough of these things, enough writings about them in all religions, in all teachings. There's enough experiences. People will tell you, and maybe you've had them. You're at home and like the one person, the TV goes on, the record players go on, the light goes on, something goes on out of nowhere. Don't be frightened, but at least understand, yes, there are spirits out there. And yes, I just go this one way, just so you'll understand. The Kabbalists do explain that there is something called possession. There is. Just like in this world. Have you never known somebody who was so conniving and so manipulative that they manipulated people into doing things against their own will, so to speak, that were detrimental? Is that not true? Look at World War II. Hello, look at all these people, these great dictators who took masses of people to do destructive things. Mao Zedong, the guy from Germany, Stalin, etc. It's one person. Hello, what do? One person gets in the head of others and suddenly there's a mass, I don't want to call it hysteria, let's call it mass hypnosis, a mass trance, and people just following. So why can't that be then in the spiritual world? What's a possession? That you take one of those negative souls that hasn't moved on and just wants to do the same thing they did in this life with other people. So they take over the body of somebody, the person, they cause them to do bad things, and then they disappear. Then the soul, and the person wakes up and says, what happened? And we think, oh, no. That's an excuse. No, there are things like that. It's not extremely common. I don't want you all out there, now paranoid and scared, but it does happen. I want you to understand. So when you see some of these things happen, let me put it to you this way. As we understand God is inside of us, God is only love, kindness, compassion, unity, oneness, love. So then when a person does such extreme negative actions, like I said, we all have a little impatience, a little fear, a little this, a like that, but extreme, where they used to call it going postal or road rage, where a person just like uncharacteristically will just go and, try and beat up or even shoot another driver because of some little thing that happened. Could be that there was a soul that possessed them just to do it, just to force them. Because why? Like a bully. A bully, how does a bully get enjoyment? Bullying somebody else, right? Why? Because the bully internally is miserable. They don't feel good about themselves or whatever. So by beating other people up or taking advantage of other people, they get instant gratification. So too, you get a soul that's on the other side, that's that same way, was a bully in this lifetime, a manipulator in this life, will just bully other people. Let's see if we can make Joe Smith go out and, run his car into somebody else or whatever. Happens. It happens. It does. I want you to be aware of it, because the more consciousness we have, consciousness is everything. So how do we protect ourselves? Let's wait till we get there. But let me share with you something that the Zohar says about, let's say, the evil spirits. And again, there are no evil souls. There are souls, people that took enough spiritual mud, curtains, that block the light, that the only way they can get that sense, even short term, of fulfillment or happiness or whatever, by doing bad things to other people. So there are humans who have bad behavior, but there are nothing but pure and perfect light soul beings. So let's make sure we can separate the two. And this is why the whole power and the teaching of the center is how to help people remove the mud and reveal their pure self. Not destroy them because they're doing bad things, not trying to get rid of them. No, remove the mud. Let the pure being show up. So the Zohar says like this, and it is not true that evil spirits and demons play no role in correcting the world. Meaning that even the negative things, like you and I learned from Kabbalah 1. Why do we have challenges in our life? Because we made a mistake, we acted in a negative way, and we have to correct it. So we have to find ourselves in a similar situation. Someone that doesn't act, that pushes my button of fear, anger, jealousy, greed, judgment, whatever, hurt, so that I can correct it. So the same thing. Even they were created for the correction, or let's put this way, even they, these evil spirits or negativity, they were created for the correction of the world, to slap the hands of the wicked of the world, and admonish them so that they will follow the correct path. Meaning every challenge, we learn from Kabbalah 1 forward, every challenge in our life is an opportunity for us to fix our mistakes, move forward in life, higher on a consciousness level, have more blessings, have more good in our life. But unfortunately, we also have the free will to take those experiences and turn into victims, blame others, be more angry, more upset. It's all the same. So every challenge, every button pushing experience is our opportunity to realize, if I take away the button, then nobody can push that button. I'll never feel reactively whatever, hurt, angry, sad, judgmental, jealous, etc. because I have no button. If I don't have a button of fear, nothing can make me feel fearful. If I don't have a button of jealousy, nothing can make me feel jealous. So if I heal my wound, which is what we're learning, then nobody can push that button. And then what do I do when I see somebody trying to make me or other people upset? Then we can just go right into sending light, knowing that their soul, my soul are one. And because we're on that spiritual internet, I can send them light, wake up the soul inside them to overcome their spiritual mud. That's our goal. That's what we're here for. So just want to share with you one of the stories that I read not long ago about overtaking the soul. So this is about jealousy. So it's a very simple story. There was a great Kabbalist who was presented with this woman who was possessed, bottom line. So because he was this great Kabbalist, he could speak to the spirit that was possessing this woman. What did it turn out? The husband, after his first wife died, he got remarried. But the soul of that first wife, who again, because of her negativity, couldn't move on the other side, she took over the new wife because she was jealous. So he had to perform what most of us would call an exorcism to get rid of that soul. And he did. And not only that, but sent off that first wife's soul to move on in her spiritual progress, in her spiritual evolution. Help. Same thing on this side. We're here to find people who are caught in their negativity, help them move forward. Not just stay away from them, not just try and be nasty to them because they're nasty or whatever, and not even just to walk away doing nothing. Help that soul be free from its mud. Help that soul be free from the negative behavior that it's trapped in. Because we're all interconnected. So their negative behavior, whether we realize it or not, is having some impact on us. And heaven forbid, the more negative behavior is out there, the more we're being impacted. So either we have to expend a lot of energy to just try and protect ourselves, or we can use that same energy to help free them from their mud. And then all that energy that we expend is bringing greater blessings to the whole world, not just protecting us from negativity and therefore staying the same. We want to be higher. We've got to achieve our 100%. So we want to look at it this way. Just quickly, because I wanted to present you also this idea, witches and warlocks. Ooh, scary. Witches, right? In fact, our history here in America, we burn witches, which really meant what? People who do things we couldn't relate with. We had to get rid of them. Again, the system is the system. So how many people in our lives, over our lifetime, or we've seen around us, people who are not alike, don't have the same ideas, or sadly, and I'm just going to throw it out there, people who don't necessarily have the same opinion, whether it's politically, economically, whatever it may be. You've never seen people who literally get rid of, hopefully not violently in that way, but never be a friend anymore. They cannot be my friend because they believe this, that, or the other thing, and I don't. We also do that. So again, why on a spirit world couldn't it be the same thing? Couldn't it be the same thing? So what's a witch or a warlock? So it's interesting because, we say, oh, what do witches do? Right? They're going to mix things. They have negative influence on people, etc., etc. What the Zohar says, so powerful. Think in your life of somebody you may know, they might still be in your life, or you've seen in the past. You can see they're not on a good path. They're on a little destructive, self-destructive path, right? People starting to, in anything, over smoke, over drink, drug, whatever it may be, you can see they're heading in a path of self-destruction. So because we love them, we care, and we're caring human beings, so we try and help them, intervene, point it out, etc., etc. But you can see they're on that destructive path. And let's say, just so it's clear, a person that we see who's starting drug abuse. So we can kind of predict at some point there's going to be an overdose. Have to get their stomach pumped, hopefully not die, but something along those lines. So you see the cause and effect. So what does the Zohar say witches are, or warlocks, sorcerers? People who could perceive cause and effect happening to other people. Like that. Could see, let's say, the overdose that was about to happen. So what do they do before that time? Between when they see them and, let's say, in 3 weeks when the overdose is going to happen. So they go to that person. They say, if you're not good to me, or you haven't been good to me, so they curse them, so to speak, that they're going to have that bad thing. Did they make it happen? No, the person's path was already on there. The person's own cause and effect was about to lead them to that overdose experience. But the witch or the warlock or the sorcerer just gets in there. They have no power. Remember, you and I learned darkness has no power over us. The opponent, that parasite in our head, has no power over us. All they can do is put negative thoughts and try and influence us to do the negative thing. But it doesn't have the power to force us to do. Only influence. So this is what the Zohar says. These sorcerers, you read, Bilam, one of the great biblical sorcerers. That's what it says. He could see, like the cosmic openings, when people were going to have those bad experiences. So then, for his own self-aggrandizement, he just went to the person and said, 3 weeks, such and such is going to happen. And then when it happened, they said, ooh, Bilam has a lot of power. So they could be scared of him. Scared of him. So I want us to understand, again, it's cause and effect. Everything is cause and effect. What's a curse? And it's interesting, this has come up now, Because probably in the last month, I've had 5 different people come and ask me, Chaim, what does Kabbalah say about cursing? Family curses and things like that. Are they real? Are they real? Does it happen? Hello, Kabbalah 1. And those of you who are watching, who've taken any of the classes of recently with me, for me, Kabbalah 1 is the most powerful and important course there is. You get to Kabbalah 10, like I have some people basically on that level, we still go back to understand all of the complex things in Kabbalah 1 terms. Because Kabbalah 1 is human terms. If you and I were going to explain Kabbalah to a new person off the street, and you walk up to that person, you say, well, the 10 Sfirot this, and this, and the Arik Anpin, and, the Partsuf of Leah, and all of that, they're going to look at you like you got 12 heads. What am I interested in this? But when you can relate to a person, look, Kabbalah has helped me to be able to handle the trouble I've had at work, not to be so angry, to overcome my anger, my fear, my jealousy, insecurity, whatever it is. And they can see that that's human terms. Kabbalah has made me a better person. Kabbalah has made me a better, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, boss, employer, friend, whatever it is. That's what people want to hear. Kabbalah has taught us how to look at life and understand how I can change so my destiny is better, regardless of the other person. That's simple terms. Simple terms. So these witches and warlocks, simple, cause and effect. Curses, cause and effect. What's a curse? So these people asking me, can they be cursed? Because they see people. Somebody knew that there was a person out there who put a curse on this other person and see that things are happening to them. Again, for me, think simple. If a person generally, again, take it for the understanding, if a person leaves their door wide open and computers and televisions and just inside the door, is it possible that some guy with a thought of thievery could walk by, see the open doors, see the computers, the valuables inside, and go steal? Is it not possible? So what do we do to prevent the thief from stealing?
Lock the door.
You lock the door, you close the door and lock the door. So the Kabbalists teach us the same with our consciousness. If a person has an open consciousness, they have fear, they're paranoid about what could be. Somebody could steal, they'll lose their money, they'll lose their health, what's going to be in the world, what's going on with this, that, or the other thing. That's an open door. And we know, sadly, as the scientists tell us, the universe cannot hold a vacuum. The universe cannot hold an empty space. So when a person opens that door for fear, then something that's fearful will come in. The book of Job, the thing I feared the most came upon me. Why? Like attracts like. Not a curse. It's not God punishing. It's not bad luck. It's energy. Like attracts like. Like attracts like. So whether it's somebody out there saying, like a Bilam, oh, this bad thing, and putting the curse. So if a person holds that thought, okay, that's it. They're holding the thought. What's the difference between the person who says, oh, Joe Smith cursed them, or that thing that we call the parasite in our head that's influencing us to be angry and jealous and greedy and fearful and egotistical? Same thing. Laws of the universe, laws of the universe. We've got tools, the technology, and the understanding how to change the entire world. How we can influence 8 billion people with positivity and not be influenced by 8 billion people's negativity. But turn it around. Turn it around. We have that ability. So then, what about family curses? Right? You look historically, there's this family, I don't even want to name them, but this family, look at all the curse, because this one happened, and this happened to the grandfather, the father, this, and there's a family curses. Cause and effect. And again, you don't have to believe it, but please don't just dismiss it, because it doesn't fit your comfort zone or your paradigm right now. Kabbalists teach reincarnation. They also teach us, and I know this is going to be a little painful for some of us, the soul of the baby, of the child, chooses the parents, the time to be born, the place to be born, the conditions to be born under. Like attracts like. So in simple terms, if a person left the world the last time, an alcoholic, they have to correct alcoholism. So as the soul is coming into the baby body to be born and have that chance, what kind of parents will they probably be attracted to? Alcoholic parents, right? And if they don't have the tools we have to change that, then when they have kids in the alcoholic consciousness, what kind of soul do you think they're going to attract? A soul that also has the correction of alcoholism. So then the 1%ers go, well, look, the grandfather was alcoholic, the father was alcoholic, the child was alcoholic. It must be genetic, or it must be the family curse. No, it's like attracts like, and nobody changed the pattern. You and I know plenty of people in the center. I'm doing this 34 years. I know plenty of people who've broken that cycle. The great-grandparent, the grandparent, the father, the parent had XYZ. And they had it, and then they changed it. They broke the cycle of the curse. Not because there was a curse, not because something was forced on them, because they came in with a tikkun, and they were able to see that's a destructive pattern, and they learned enough Kabbalah how to change it. But don't ever think the physical is the cause of the spiritual. It's not the cause of anything. The entire physical world is only the effect of our spiritual or inner actions, thoughts, words. So we got to wake up, we got to change. So you don't want to be caught in the curse. And it may not be like we say, oh, the bad curse. But how many of you have ever felt you just have kind of the same bad luck? Bad luck in relationships, bad luck in jobs, bad luck with this, that, or the other thing. It's the same thing. The system is the same. There's only one technology to the soul. It can look from different points of view a little different. It can be different frames, like this, the repetitive pattern. You may have had just one job for all your life and it's the best job you ever had, but you may have a repetitive pattern of something with a relationship or something with health or something in some other way. That's the same kind. You bite your fingernails, bad habit. Same thing. You think you're over it, then you bite them again. Then you think you're over it. Repetitive pattern is a repetitive pattern. Our job is to understand it goes back to our consciousness. And then break the negative consciousness, break the influence of that opponent in our head so that we can remove and change our behavior. Because God gave us 100%. Don't ever forget that. That will never change. There's no human being on earth who has an empty soul. Blocked, yes. Mud, curtains, whatever you want to call it, blocking the light from shining out, yes. But a soul that's empty? No such thing. No such thing. Everybody's soul is full because God is perfect, infinite light, omnipresent, all good all the time. That's the influence on us. And that's why the Kabbalists teach us, coming up very quickly, every human being on earth will express their perfection. The purpose of teaching Kabbalah, what the center is about, is help people have that revelation with mercy. Meaning feel the inner pain of our negative behavior so we change it voluntarily. That's the way of mercy. The way of judgment is what people have in the outside world, where they have the pain and suffering. They get sick, they have trouble, all the problems, until the pain is so overwhelming that there's no way they can look at anybody else in their life to blame. They have to, because it's so painful, they have to take control over their own life, their own destiny, and do something different. So, either way, as we often speak about, either way leads to the Garden of Eden. The issue is which one do we want? Which one do we want to end up with? So the eve of Halloween, whatever that means to you, let's just look at it Kabbalistically. There are spirits, there are things going on around us, but as Karen wrote, there are plenty of good angels, good people, good spirits that want us to reveal the light of our soul. Starting today, let's open up our heart. Let's open up, as we often talk about. The Zohar says we have eyes in our heart. So if you open up your heart to let the eyes of the heart see, one, that your soul is only filled with the light of God. The more you see that, the more it'll be easier when you look at somebody else to see through their negativity and see with the eyes of your heart that the light is also in their soul. And you'll see that they are connected to you even though you used to think not. Even though we look like we're separate bodies, there is nobody disconnected from any other soul on earth. And all the souls that are out there in the metaphysical world that are not incarnate in a body, we're all interconnected. because God only created one soul. And even though we look like we're fragmented into 8 billion parts, the illusion is the space between us. But it's in that space that anger, jealousy, resentment, all the chaos sits. What you and I are learning here, how to take away the space, get closer to the soul. And as I often say, you don't have to hang out with that person. You don't even have to like their behavior, nor the person as they are today. But for my own benefit, for your benefit, we have to connect to the light in their soul, because we need that light. We need to be connected, like in our physical body. Can you disconnect from the light in your toe? May seem like it's insignificant, but just bang that toe, the insignificant toe, on a piece of furniture. Tell me then how insignificant it is. So we want all of the parts of our body to be healthy and vital. As we expand that out, we want humanity to be healthy and vital. Because once we can do that, in fact, let's just take that idea. Let's love, bond ourselves with the light in the soul of every human being unconditionally. The people we hate, the people we can't stand, the people who don't agree with it, whatever it is. Let's bond to the light in their soul so powerfully and so unconditionally that not only do we feel the inner pressure to remove our blockages, but we will cause such discomfort inside those people that they will not be able to point out at us or anyone else for the cause of their pain and suffering or the cause of their chaos. That they will be forced by their inner pain and turmoil to change their life by being more loving, kind, compassionate. And that's when we will remove all the covers and we'll be able to all live together. Peace, love, unity. And that's what we call the Garden of Eden, heaven on earth. God bless.
Thank you, Hans.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'd like to do quickly, after we do our meditation or our offering, I'd like to do a quick meditation to just put some more light out there for all of the world. So here I'm going to, for those of you who are online, and again, whatever you can give, give. But if you've gained anything from Kabbalah.com, from the Kabbalah Center, from Spiritual Sunday, give something back. Pay it forward. Don't say, well, I can't give a lot or whatever. Anything you give with your heart and soul will help us increase and speed up the spread of the Zohar, the spread of this wisdom. And like we say, the faster we'll reveal peace on earth. And maybe for some of us right now, the priority is to take away our pain, to take away the pain and suffering, whichever works for you. But give something in return. And this is why we always take this minute just to bless our offering. So those of you who are here, hold your offering in your hand. Those of you online, I put the giving for Spiritual Sunday. So just take a deep breath. Allow yourself, beyond all of your mistakes, beyond all the reactive things that you may have done, to open your heart to see the pure light of God that's there, and to appreciate all the more from this moment and moving forward, to increase the value, the awareness, and the use of that light, knowing that it is the source of lasting fulfillment, and the more we let it out, the more it will bless us and influence everybody else. So we have gratitude for all that the Creator's given us, for all of our abilities, talents that have allowed us to have the resources we have. And therefore, with our love, we inject our light, blessing, and love into this offering, that we see it go out through the projects of the center to reach to the heart and soul of every person on earth, awakening God inside them, that they will change their behavior to be more godlike. And we realize that doing that is our greater godlike good. our greater God-like actions, revealing more of God's light into our life, manifest. We can see the world at peace, and we know cause and effect. What we share out into the world, we already see coming back to us many, many times over. And we give thanks for that already. And together we say, Amen. So what I'd like to do, just quickly, for those of you online, you have this, 72 names. Those of you who are here, Hey, Hey, Ein, it's one of the 72 names, unconditional love. If you're unfamiliar, what we call the Aramaic or the Hebrew letters are not a construct of humanity. They are a construct of God. They shine the light of the endless world. Eyes are the window to the soul. They will reach inside our soul, awaken greater and greater unconditional love inside of us for ourselves, which translates to every person. You cannot love yourself if you don't love the light in others. And you cannot love God, truly love God, if you don't love God in everyone. Okay? Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Just relax into the seat you're in. Feel yourself floating on a cloud of light. Wrapped in that pure light, which is the love of God. See any blockage inside you, any spots of darkness, chaos, negativity, being transformed by this light. That you see and feel clearly that the light of God is 100% filling your soul, every cell of your body. And now let's envision the Hey, Hey, Ein, the combination of light force particles that awaken a greater level of unconditional love. That we love the light of the Creator unconditionally, even through those challenging moments. And we send that light of unconditional love to the Creator back to the places in our lifetime that we felt other than that unconditional love for the Creator. Healing all those spots, feeling those dark moments of our life with this light of unconditional love. Feel this Hey, Hey, Ein awakening in your heart. Feel just pure love, which is being glued, bonded to the infinite light of the Creator. And let's together extend a beam of this light, unconditional love, directly through the heart and soul of all of our friends, family, business people, everybody in our environment. See it awakening the light in them. And then beaming it out through them to the heart and soul of every human being on earth. All 8 billion people unconditionally. Because we now realize more and more, it's more clear, the only way to stop negative behavior is to awaken the light of God inside all people. Feel love, unity, oneness. Let's envision together all people, peaceful, caring, loving, happy, fulfilled, feeling that inner joy so powerfully that they cannot help themselves but express it to everybody, the stranger on the street and their dearest loved ones. Let's commit ourselves, starting now, as much as we are able, keeping this vision the forefront of our mind. Peace on earth, because consciousness is everything. The more we hold this vision, empower it with greater acts, higher acts of love, kindness, sharing, and compassion, the faster we bring it into physical reality. Hey, hey, Ein. Just beaming it out into the world. We take one more breath to anchor it into our heart and soul, our consciousness. And as you exhale, slowly opening your eyes. Thank you for joining us, all of you out there in cyberspace. Please remember a couple things. One is, if you haven't liked this page, like it. It helps us reach more people through the magic of social media. Also, you know that there's a Spiritual Sunday YouTube page that I'm making the effort now to post, the current video out there. So those of you who have friends who don't go on Facebook or whatever, send them to the YouTube page, let them also watch, and subscribe on that page. Also helps through the magic of social media to reach more people, to be, suggested and recommended, so that we can empower more people with this wisdom. Have a blessed week. Look forward to seeing you next Sunday. And again, if you have questions, comments, miracles to share, Facebook message me, or YouTube send it out there, or you can write me at chaim.solomon@kabbalah.com. Have an amazing week. God bless. Thank you for joining us. If you liked what you saw, subscribe to this channel that you'll be notified when we post new videos. Share the video with your friends, they can also benefit. And check out the website, www.kabbalah.com, that's Kabbalah, for hundreds of articles and classes. Wish you an amazing day, and God bless.